This video isn't about you. Change places. Well, not prettier, but you know, right car. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to a DIY on a car that needs no intro. This is my 2016 Volkswagen Golf GTI. The daily driver that never has an issue until it does. And then it really goes for it. And today's issue with this car is actually one that a lot of Mark 7 cars have in common. You see, as these cars age, this one currently has 94,000 miles on it. I bought it with 76,000, I think. The bushings and the front control arms start to wear out. It happens, but being as it is German, like the BMWs I had before this, you can't just buy those bushings on their own. You have to buy them as a whole new control arm. And this is kind of hard to find right now. So I've been dealing with, for the past couple of months, a car that sounds like a freshman dorm after visitation weekend. It's really annoying. However, the other side isn't doing it, so it's far enough away from me that I can usually tune it out with some music. That isn't to say that other people can, because I hear about it constantly when I have other people in the car. So I finally decided that I was just going to bite the bullet, buy some new ones, and finally do the work. That also means I needed to get the wheels off, and to do that I usually just use an impact socket that I had lying around. But today, thanks to FCP Euro's warranted oil, I've bought these. These are nylon coated sockets meant for wheels so that you don't scratch the crap out of them when you go to take off your lug nuts. These aren't really relevant to anything, but I just bought them, so look. While I'm in there, I will also be doing the sway bar end links. These really aren't that interesting. You can find them at any auto parts store, especially for Golfs and stuff, because they were used for pretty much every MQB car ever sold. But that means that the front of this car will basically be new, minus the shocks and springs, because I have already done ball joints and the front wheel bearings. Now this car is coming up on 100,000 miles, so that is all wear items that you would expect. I've also done rear wheel bearings because the one was squeaking quite bad, and if you're going to do one of them, you might as well do both. That really is all the issue I've had with this car so far. Coming up soon, I will be doing a 1 year and change video on the GTI, just to go over what all I've done to it, and spoiler alert, not a lot. Still the same exhaust, still the same blow-off valve, still haven't tuned it. Because it's just been a pleasant daily driver to get me to and from school and now to and from work. So before I spoil any more future videos, besides the one that's sitting over there, let's jump right into this. Let's start with this side. It shouldn't take me too long. This shouldn't be a very long video in general, actually. Why did I say that? Anyway, let's get into it. As usual, your first step in this process is to jack up your car. Note where I put the jack stand. More on this later. I don't know why I keep putting these back on. Getting a little low there. You'll note that I just moved the jack stand. That's because there is a bolt back there that goes up through the control arm and basically just sandwiches it to the car. Normally, I support the car with that bolt, or with that mounting plate, when I jack the car up, because normally I'm doing stuff here. If you are going to jack your car up, do not use that bolt, because you will have to remove it. Helpful tips. Right, so the two rear bolts, which in this case you aren't going to be able to see, so I'll just show you. That's the one that goes through here, and the one that comes up through here. They are 18s, and this one goes through the knuckle here, and there's something at the end here that it screws into on the actual car. This one goes through the knuckle, up through the subframe, and into a bolt. So you're gonna need another wrench of some type to hold the top bolt so that it doesn't just keep sitting there and spinning, and you'll eventually get somewhere. Now these, I will get to now, I believe they are 13s. All right, and those lower ball joint bolts, there's 3 of them on the bottom of the carrier piece that goes into the control arm, is a 15. Okay, and And at this point, the control arm is free. This is the only thing holding it on. Be very careful at this point. When you pull this down, this is gonna wanna try to come out. This axle back here, if it pulls out too far, figure it's like, there's three, I'm not dumb. There's 3 splines that go into another one that allow it to move around. If you pull it out too far, those won't go back together correctly, and it'll actually damage the bearings on it. So be very careful doing this, and just take your time. There we go. Okay. So it does look like this sort of did collapse, and it actually kind of dried out as well. So right here, there's a little bit of dry rotting around the bolt hole. I'm kind of curious if I might have collapsed this a little bit, bringing it out, but that would explain why this was squeaking as much as it did, because the squeaking I was hearing was very similar to what I was hearing when I was squeaking this out. So it was probably a good thing that I'm replacing these. Probably. Moving up to the makeshift table here, we are going to inspect the parts now. This is the old one, this is the new one, if you couldn't tell. And basically the only thing I'm looking for here is to make sure that the geometry is the same. Now, some of you are probably wondering and or shouting at the screen right now, why didn't I get an 034 Motorsports replacement instead of an OEM one? And the real reason is because I'm not going to track this car. This is my daily, so an OEM one will work. And it also means it just fits right up like this. It's the exact same dimensions and everything just kind of works. So now we are going to put this in the car, and we are going to give it a new sway bar end link, and hopefully there will be no more squeaking. Right, so I took some time off camera to add a little bit of lube to all of the points that this is going to be touching the car, in hopes to make this a little bit easier on myself. Besides the addition of the very stylish headband, you'll also note that I am taking off the sway bar end link. This is because if you leave it on, to get the knuckle back onto the control arm is basically impossible. So you must remove it. I've had to turn my fan off for this so that you can hear me, but and forgive me, you did overheat just a little bit. The lower control arm is now on, and you really didn't miss much. It was just a lot of me tightening things up. But as you can also see, the new sway bar end link is in place on one side, but woefully too long to fit onto the end of the sway bar. This is actually something that I noticed when I did these on my Mini. That had brand new control arms, and when I did the end links, they also didn't fit exactly, and I see this as a good thing. You see, the previous control arms that were on this were loose. They were loose enough that this could move up and down pretty easily, and it made it so that I could just push it down, push that into place, and we were good. The new ones are very tight, so they want to sit where they want to sit. So in this case, what I'm going to have to do, since this terminates at the shock here, I'm going to put the jack on the bottom of this, probably about here where one of the gussets is. I will lift the entire thing up, including the shock, which will pick this bit up and align it with that hole. When I do that, I can stuck a bolt into it, tighten everything up and let it go, and it will hold it into place. This has worked for me every time so far. I've never damaged anything, and it is a great way to also make sure that your shock and spring is still in good condition. And they're just not that old. Right on the gusset, let me put a there we go. A little bit closer. A little more. A little more. Oh, come on, you're right there. Now, there we go. Come on. And she's in. Now, when you are doing that, do be careful to not pick the car up. If you are on a jack stand, make sure the car is still safe and secure, because if you pick it up and then drop it real quick, you might launch the car off the jack stand. That is nice and tight. And so is that one. So that means this side is officially done, which also means that the wheel can go back on and I can get onto the other side. Now, I have realized while I was doing this that the brakes are getting quite low. As a matter of fact, my pad wear sensor over here is about to touch. So that will be the next thing that we do on this car, because I drive it a lot. And not having brakes sucks. So let's get the wheel back on this thing and move to the other side, which I will probably time lapse because you don't need to see two sides of the same thing. Well, this was a 2-battery expedition, and honestly, it went pretty well. And I'm almost hesitant to say that it could be like an hour-and-a-half job if you aren't recording for a YouTube video. Now, the car is fixed now. I have verified it, and I will show you just... See? No more squeaky bed frame noises. So yes, if you have yourself a Mark 7 GTI and you happen to have some of the squeaking issues that I demonstrated earlier, or when you're driving, give this a try. The control arms aren't cheap, they aren't also expensive, and you can also do some upgrading while you're in there if you do decide you want to track the car. As I said, my car is a daily, not a track car, so it doesn't need the 034 Motorsports lower control arms. With that said, this has fixed the front of this car, and basically everything up there is new now except for the shocks. So that prepares us for the next video, where I will be doing the 1 year and change retrospective of what it's been like to own this Mark 7 GTI. Spoiler alert, it's a fantastic car. With that, thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. If you're new here, go check out some more videos. If you're a new Mark 7 owner and you would like to know how to do wheel bearings, I've gotten videos on that, as well as a few other things in this car like the blow-off valve and the exhaust. If you're a returning viewer, thank you. Leave a comment below and tell me how many videos you've been here to witness, and also if you're upset that I haven't been uploading. Sorry. But as always, thank you all for watching. Peace out.